Hey, I know it's been a while since my last video, but I have a reason. I've been waiting to get my hands on the comics Descent to Nowhere, and I think I've solved the ending. So sit back and relax, and sink into these tideless waters as we uncover the secrets of Little Nightmares' counties. So let's start at the beginning. Myra 1, a county's detective officer, is planning to take her own life. She feels like the county has taken her freedom and liberty and turned her into its own puppet. What I find very interesting about this scene is the emphasis on her eye tattoo, and I think this eye is very symbolic of her past with Nowhere. More on that later. Then out of nowhere, another detective called Marion Guy goes up to her and talks about her eye tattoo, then convinces her not to end her life, at least for now. He asks her to help him solve the milk carton cases. These are the codenames for all of the children from the counties who have been taken into Nowhere, and it seems for some reason the police force isn't doing anything about it, leaving them to be cold cases. In this very first issue, I've noticed loads of parallels between Marion and the ferryman. Yes, I know I say loads of people are the ferryman. I'm not even going to bother talking about my low theory. But the fact that he appears out of nowhere and convinces Myra to come with him is very suspicious. Even so, what he says to her in her apartment, and if it does go belly up, I'll walk you back to the bridge. Take the plunge together. He's literally saying, if we mess up, I'll sink lower and lower with you. Who else talks about sinking and compares the journey to nowhere as such? The ferryman. There's more proof. When they get back to Myra's apartment, she says, a door is like a threshold in more ways than one. Entering someone's home is like entering their mind. Everything's laid out and bare. More talks about the doors and the threshold. Who does she let in? Marion. Who else at the threshold do we know lets someone in? Noon to the ferryman. This, I can't believe people haven't been talking about this. It's so very subtle, yet it's the first issue and it came out in October. So those are what I thought were the most important takeaways from issue 1. I won't really get into the stone giant because I don't really know what's going on there. But I will say the relationship between Hush and Mono is really cool. I like to see them. I like how Mono's trying to get away. He can't really, they've got to work together to get out of the place. Also the black goo, I'm really confused about that. I don't really know what's happening. So if anyone else would know what's happening, because I have gone loads theorising about the counties, I think those are the most important parts of the comic. If anyone knows, just please comment them, because I've got absolutely no clue. Now for issue 2, which I think we get a really big groundbreaking discovery about the world of Little Nightmares. As we're finding out about Hush, and they're asking questions because they're in the institute, they're like, oh, where is she from? Who are her parents? And they're telling what happened. She got trampled under some horses. They ask her about her parents. They revealed that one of her parents is a sleeper. Now, this is the first time we've had any mention of a sleeper. Well, what is a sleeper? I believe sleepers are adults taken into nowhere, as it says. Oh, it's a sad story now. The sleep got them both. Dad's been in the coma ward going on a month. So what I believe is happening is whenever adults are taken into nowhere, at the start, they're just in a coma. They're like brain dead. And it's just their bodies are in the counties, in the waking world. Their minds are going into nowhere. And I think it's the process of being taken into nowhere. So I think when you're about to go into nowhere, you enter the sleep if you're an adult. And you've been you go brain dead, you're in a coma for a month or two, then you die and enter nowhere, because I think it's the ferryman and the nowhere reshaping you into all your sins you've committed. That's what I think it is, because there isn't really any other explanation. It's linked to the water sickness, and as we know later in the third comic, and the Sounds of Nightmares, the water sickness is still affecting loads of children, but it isn't in the same way as the adults. The adults get it differently than the children do. Then we cut back to the stone giant with Hush and Mono as they continue to progress throughout it. Now I think we have a very important detail in the image to the right. We see a TV turn on and we actually see an image. I know we've seen them in the past, with the triangles, with the child sleeping and what looks like to be the granny peering over them. You can the handprint, you can press it down. This is the first time we actually a sort of live video in the Little Nightmares, the world of the nowhere, of an actual person on it and talking. And I think this person is really important. Just keep this person on the right in mind for the third issue, I think it all makes sense as to why this is happening and why the county's police force doesn't want to discuss anything about the milk carton cases. It's because of who's in charge of it. Chief Homer. And I'll get into that in a bit. Myra and Marion also go to Hush's old estate where she was before the institute. They didn't really find anything there. It's only later on in this issue where Myra goes back and she finds a doll of the ferryman. And then she starts saying, oh, I feel like I've seen this before. How do I know this before? Well, it's because later in the issue, it's revealed that she somehow escaped knowledge. Like, she escaped the ferryman's clutches. Like, he was after her. He had her eyes set on her, but she somehow forgot everything, and she didn't go into nowhere like loads of other kids. And that's why I think the eye tattoo is so important. It's to show that she is wanted by nowhere, and they still have its eyes set on her. And I think that's why Marion is now here to, get her back into the nowhere. Then at the very end of the issue, while she's on drugs because she's stressed because Homer Downs wants to see her in the morning, she starts talking about how she hears a voice telling her to keep going further and further down where the hidden things go. And that's how the second issue ends, with her remembering her time with the ferryman and, trying to find out what's going on. Now, immediately looking at the third issue, what I noticed about my cover is very interesting. It's Myra. Seems like she's entering her apartment, like her apartment building, or she's entering an elevator in the institute. And who's behind her? The ferryman. Who goes to her in both of these places? Who goes with her to both of these places in this issue? Marion. Come on. I'm pretty sure that I'm guaranteed that he is the ferryman, as in the old 2017 Titan comics. He was the boy's sister, and he could just turn into her and, take the boy with him. It's just, I think Marion's the ferryman, 100%. At the start of the third issue, we get to the real conversation with Chief Homer Downs and Marion and Myra. Marion asks her, when she was talking about picking up her weekly order of products from the pharmacy, he asks, don't they open at 9? I used to wait in the lot to buy cigarettes before. She cuts him and says, for me, they're always open, but my purchases are on the order at hand. So, something off about, the pharmacy where she's getting all these antibiotics, anesthetics, medicines from. She's obviously using them for some reason that she doesn't want them to know and discuss about, so she's clearly trying to throw them off of the trail of the case. After their conversation with the chief, Myra's going around her apartment block, and then she sees she's getting watched by some shadow, so she chases after it, and it ends up being a boy in her apartment block called Windsor. And now Windsor had a brother called Winston, and he's one of the milk carton cases. And she starts asking him, oh, do you know anything about your brother? And she's like, oh, he started having tantrums ever since his mum died. And then the giant with a melted face followed him inside of his mind. And ever since then, he just disappeared. So what it seems is that the ferryman works like the sickness, like the water sickness that Noon described in The Sounds of Nightmares. It's like he goes into your mind and then infects you, and then gives you brain tumours or any other disease he can to make you even more weak and more susceptible to nowhere. And I believe Myra could have had a tumour on the back of her neck, and that's why it has an eye symbol there, to symbolise where the ferryman was trying to get her into nowhere, and then she survived, and so they left a little mark there, maybe. It's probably just a tattoo, but yeah, I reckon it's a mark they've left for her. Myra then wants to try a sleep experiment with Marion, where she takes the drugs, and then he watches over her while she dreams. In her dream, we get our very first, since 2017, comic look at the ferryman, and he reaches out for her, holding her hand and giving her a little gift, the spoils within nowhere he was talking about in The Sounds of Nightmares. And then she calls him a mirror. Noon also refers to him as a broken mirror. After the experiment, they discuss that Hush's father had seemed to have sold off a part of the institute called Floor -1. So there's a hidden part of the institute, which is the exact same place in the ending of Little Nightmares 3, where Lo and Alone went to, so Lo could get his memories back and realise that he was one of Otto's patients. So Myra and Marion both head out into the institute, and they go through an old sewage way left over from the polluted waters fiasco. So it seems like the counties isn't really that developed because of the whole water sickness scare, like the whole ferryman sickness scare, and the sleep and the sleepers. So they don't really want to update or change or clean or renovate some parts of the city because of the fear. So they go through there and discover floor -1, and they discover loads of children with Noon's sickness, and they're biting their skin, they're peeling it off, they're itching, they've got rashes everywhere, their hair's all matty, their teeth are all broken, and it seems like they genuinely have gone insane. And this is where we get the big reveal. The big reveal is that in floor -1, Otto has been the one counselling all the children down there, and he reveals who's been behind most of the milk carton cases. Chief Homer Downs. So they're both working together to do stuff with these children who have the disease and who are most likely to get to nowhere. So it seems the reason they've all gone cold is because Chief Homer Downs has given the order to, and Otto, when they find those kids, are taken to him so he could do even more experiments on them. He says that she talks about a bugbear and she prefers experiments, and that whatever her intentions, they're very long drawn. It's also revealed that she's taken one child before Marion and Myra could get there, called Isaac. Apparently he was the most feral and probably the most infected one of them all. And I believe the reason she needs these children is because her dad is a sleeper and he's probably in nowhere. Let's go back to the second issue. When Hush is against the TV, what plays? A man, an adult who's obviously been taken to nowhere. What is he doing? He's looking at a big clock and he's clearly talking about it. What is Chief Homer Dad's father? A horologist who used to love time and clocks. What I believe is that her dad's been taken into nowhere, so she's been taking some of the children from the milk carton cases to do experiments on them to try and get into nowhere to find her dad, exactly like Otto with his CC. And that's where the comic ends. They're off to try and find where Chief Homer Downs has gone. This also reveals why she has the pharmacy with the meds, because she's trying to make them go to bed so she can get to know it exactly like Otto's doing. I think the ending will end with Marion revealed to be the ferryman. They're going to find Homer Downs. She's going to reveal her dad's probably in nowhere, and that's why she's talking about him and like she's so fascinated with the milk carton cases. Hush will probably escape the stone giant with Monarchs. This probably takes place before Little Nightmares 2. And I think the ending of the comic, Descent into Nowhere, Myra will descend into nowhere. She'll kill herself, probably enter the sleep, and then join nowhere as part of its residents. So that's the theory video. It wasn't really that well put together because I really wanted to get this out, because when I was reading it, I was like, I don't really understand what they're trying to get here. Then I read it again, then I realised, and so I wanted to put this video out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any disagreements or anything else to add, leave it in the comments. I'd like to know what you guys think. And yeah, have a good day or night. Bye.